He confronted his sisters, even telling one of them about the podcast and said they should expect to hear from me. I don't know how to feel about this. I didn't realize we would be so involved.
You know, somehow now I can fully appreciate what we offer.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
Getting there.
Yes, we will begin this episode by wishing our Shandies a happy 2025. This is our first recording of 2025, but we're not yet sure if it's going to actually be the first episode of 2025. Because we have what we think is an exciting love fest, but with big love fests, I always
You never know.
Yeah, I'm a worst case scenario person, so I don't bet on anything. So this might end up being our first episode of the year, but if it's not, it'll be the second.
Yeah,
so
we have a pretty like 20% attrition rate on scheduled love fests. I'd say.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I would argue the bigger the couple. Actually, that's not true.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
That's actually not true.
I that's what I want to believe, but it's not actually
yeah, it's
true.
often the smaller the couple, the more the difficulty.
I would say somewhere in the middle. Not to suggest that one couple is bigger than another, but some are just more famous.
Some couples are more important than other couples.
Okay, so this is our first recording of the new year, and I think no matter what, whether this is episode 1 or 2, Happy New Year still applies.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Hope
everyone had a holly jolly holidays.
And before we get going with this updates episode, our 5th ever updates episode, we have some housekeeping, and it's sad news. If anyone follows us over on Instagram, then you'll know that Andy's mother, Jane Levine, passed away on December 19th.
One day before her birthday.
Yeah, one day before her 83rd birthday.
Yeah.
And it was actually the evening of our last recording of the year.
Yeah.
Which, in retrospect, I feel weird calling anything lucky, but I mean, you would not have been able to record.
No.
So a lot of our holidays has been in that kind of place.
Yeah.
But I'm really so amazed with you at how, I mean, Andy is really, he struck a balance between, I think, truly mourning, like you really, and now I feel weird complimenting you, but I like that you aren't sweeping it under the rug. Like you've really been feeling your feelings, but also, I mean, functioning. Not that you need to be. I'm just like, I can't say anything right today. Anyway, I'm just like impressed with you, and I mean, we loved your mom.
Yeah, it's been very sad, very bit of a dark time.
Yeah,
sadder than I thought it would be. I actually, because my mom was mentally well, but physically not great. And I had been sort of mentally preparing for this for a long time, but it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. And I thought it would be hard, but it's hard being an orphan, There's something missing. Like there's the world is missing a gear for me now. And I sort of have to get used to that. Yeah. It's different.
Yeah.
There's no cheerleader. I mean, I have you and I have the Shandies and I have my friends, but there's no just ride or die cheerleader in the background at all times. So it's been difficult, but I will say that when I need it most, the Shandies really come through and you guys lifted me up. I really mean that. I'm not just saying that. You guys lifted me up. I read all the messages and they were really sweet. And there was a lot of messages from people who had lost parents as well, who understood the feeling, and it really resonated with me. And I swear, it took me from 1 out of 10 to
4.
4 or 5, but it really helped. And I can't thank you enough for that. That made a big difference. So
yeah, we were pretty struck by the messages, and you're right. I do think that, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't think my family and, me being a part of my family, I actually don't think we're the best with grief. I think on paper it's oh, amazing. You escape to Ottawa with my family and you're surrounded by snow. And I think that it really was beautiful in that way. But in terms of conversations, this is not something my family is good at. Yeah. And you guys have no idea how much it meant to Andy to read your messages. Seriously, it was really beautiful. And I was so thankful for you as well, because I wasn't really 100% sure how to be there for you. So You guys have no idea the impact your messages had. So, okay. So, before we move on, I wanted to address something I'm going to do this year, which is we are doing a big closet clean out in our apartment. This is something that has been giving us stress in our lives. And I also am trying to make a concerted effort to like consume less. And Andy's always on my case about getting rid of clothes. So something I'm trying to do this year is I'm going to be wearing on the podcast stuff that I am selling over on my Poshmark, and proceeds will be going to the Central Park Conservancy, which was Jane's charity of choice. Is it a charity? It's a nonprofit. What is it? Nonprofit of choice. And I mean, she loved Central Park.
She did.
And so that's for all of 2025. I'm not going to promise everything I wear because I think I'll run out of things that I'm getting rid of. But if it is for sale on my Poshmark, I will link it in the description below, and starting off with my empathy sweatshirt. So if you guys like what I'm wearing and you're like, oh, sweet, and I want to own that, and the money will go to a good cause, then yes, link below.
I love you.
Oh,
You're sweet.
I love you. Okay, shall we get going with our updates, Andy?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this first update goes all the way back to episode 91. Isn't that cool?
91.
Actually, we have enough episodes now that going all the way back is going to almost episode
91
100.
is a low number.
So this is from caller Kiera, and the title was, "My boyfriend's sister is increasingly rude to me. Should I confront her?" Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
Dear Shandy, coming back to you with a quick but happy update. I was lucky enough to chat with you guys around 3 years ago about my relationship with my boyfriend's sister, which had become increasingly tense, verging on hostile, and how to make sure I could navigate the situation properly, and the importance of making sure my boyfriend and I were on the same page and team moving forward. After our call, my boyfriend and I had conversations about what I felt I needed in order to feel supported and the areas that were tough for him to confront head on with his sister. Ultimately, it helped us grow better together. When my boyfriend told his family his intentions to propose around a year later, his sister had a 180 shift in attitude and started to try to mend the relationship. Though wary, I took the wins when they came, and over time, I genuinely think we've built a strong relationship. My boyfriend and I got married this past summer, and every day I feel safer, more supported, and happier than the day before. His sister was at our wedding, happy as a clam, and our relationship has continued to grow. Thank you guys again for all your help. Having you guys as an unbiased third party to talk to was really helpful, and I really cherished our conversation. Best, Kiera. Oh,
That was nice.
P.S. My cat got the chance to meet you guys as well when we talked, and I always wished a wonderful fuzzy friend for you both. Seeing you guys with the gem that is Ruby makes my heart warm every time, and I'm so happy she found you too. Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
I remember her cat.
You do?
I do. I remember all the cats.
You remember all the pets, period.
Yes.
I like this update. I mean, it's on the surface, it's kind of simple, but there's honestly like an equal likelihood that the sister wouldn't improve necessarily.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like once she realized that Kiera was like around to stay, isn't it funny that it's like when she found out he was proposing, suddenly she's like, oh, okay.
She has to behave herself.
Yeah.
It's a permanence.
Yes. And I also think it's a hierarchy. I feel weird saying that, but I do think there is some hierarchy. It's kind of like who gets the, what's the front seat? The name for the front seat? The shotgun in a car. There is a hierarchy in that.
Or it's like a company. It's like if you work with someone and you don't like them, and they work next to you in a cubicle, and you're always like, oh, I hate them. They're so annoying. And you just don't get along. But then they get promoted to like the boss.
Yeah.
You have to kiss their ass.
That's a way better example than shotgun. I just feel there is a bit of hierarchy with shotgun.
Yeah.
For example,
there is. Yeah.
There is, right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
I feel like as your wife, I get shotgun.
Well, I feel shotgun is more of a physical thing. It's not necessarily hierarchy. It's like, are you giant?
Okay.
Are you very old?
Yeah. Okay.
Or are you someone who you don't know very well, who you just met, and the nice thing to do is to offer shotgun, but then you get into like a standoff who gets shotgun. If there's two new people who don't know each other and shotgun's available, then it's like, oh, you take shotgun. No, I'll take shotgun. No, you take shotgun.
I gotta be honest. I think shotgun is the kind of thing that when you're offered shotgun, you're like, oh, okay, thanks. It's sort of like being offered the booth seat at the restaurant.
Well,
it's like, oh, do you want to sit in the booth? It's like, oh yeah, sure, thanks.
Well, you say, you sure? And then,
You sure?
has anyone ever said, you know what? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Anyway, I like that update. Very nice. All right. So this next update is from episode 133. This was question number 1 from a Q&A from Jess. I always seem to catch the ick from my dates. Am I being too picky? And I think this was our first touching on ick, because we've touched on ick since, but I'm pretty sure we named the entire episode in ick.
We did.
We trust. Isn't it so weird? I remember recording that. I remember what I wore.
I remember talking about that afterwards with somebody, that episode.
Really?
I went to Jordan's birthday in Palm Springs, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and some girl who happened to be a Shandy asked me about it. And that was the episode that just came out.
It's so weird that that's over 2 years ago now. Dear Shandy, hopefully there is not a statute of limitations on updates, because this one is a couple of years old. I am still a big fan of the pod, and lately the mentions of lurkers and question askers who ride off into the night without so much as a thank you has been eating at me. You have my deepest apologies for ghosting. In early 2022, I submitted a question about getting the ick after a really good first date and whether that was a me problem or a relationship problem. Your episode had me in stitches with Andy's excessive use of type deal. Do you remember that?
No.
Type deal. The impression was spot on, and your advice was too. I don't think this is a surprising update. I trusted the ick and ended our relationship shortly after. What you might not have known is that I listened to the episode 4 or 5 times throughout the year because the man in question kept popping up around town in ways that the romantic in me wanted to believe were signs to give it another shot. Your words were a good reminder of why I left, and in the end, it left me open to meeting my current partner that fall. He is the kindest man I know and has taught me so much about what it means to be in a relationship where you're both on the same team. We're moving in together next month. Then she has this sort of asterisked part where later on she says I can omit it, but I like it, so I'm going to include it. My experience with the ick did reveal some nuance that I think other Shandies might find helpful. We are in total agreement that the ick is a great barometer for compatibility, but after a lot of self-reflection, I also think that the disproportionate reaction between the visceral feeling of ick and the offenses that I listed had more to do with me than him. In the last 2 years, I have learned that I am so used to earning love that I have a hard time accepting it when it comes freely. It is something I'm still working on in my relationships, but I look back on this time in my life and can say with some certainty that the real ick had to do with being put off by a person liking me for no good reason, and that the other stuff I listed was just the icing on the cake. So here's to continuing to grow, acknowledging the role we play in our own feelings, and trusting in the ick. Thank you so much for carving out such a thoughtful, funny, and inclusive corner of the internet. I love being a Shandy and can't wait to keep welcoming new subscribers to the mix. I'm rooting for you both, Jess.
That's nice.
So nice. Also not surprising.
Not surprising.
Yeah, like she said.
She's brought up a very good point, I think, about the ick. I think oftentimes the ick you're feeling is an ick for something in you that you don't like, that you're icked by.
Okay.
In yourself.
So she talks about it coming so freely, something she didn't have to earn. I mean, we have talked about, what's the saying about not wanting to be a part of a club that would have you as a member?
Yeah. And I think that the ick, even if you don't have those traits anymore, things in other people that you have the ick about, that you are icked by, are often those things that you've shed in yourself that you were disgusted by. And that makes it even more resounding an ick, because the things that you have overcome in yourself that were icky,
yes,
you find more distasteful in other people because you feel that they are too weak,
yes,
to have overcome those themselves.
This is definitely true. I feel it in myself. Yeah. I feel it with, people that you do or don't want to be friends with.
Oh yeah,
what they represent. And we've seen it, I think, even in ourselves when we watch TV shows that we recap. Like, you can even see the visceral reactions we have, like the reaction you had to Dave on the ultimatum.
Oh my God, Dave!
And you admit it.
Problems.
You admit it. There's a part of me that is Dave, and I don't like that part of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the parts you don't like the most. New stuff that you don't like when you see someone behaving in a way that you've never behaved like,
Yeah.
you're almost like intrigued. You're like, oh, that's interesting.
100%. You're entertained by it almost.
Yeah, you can be entertained. And then sometimes your friends, you'll find someone who icks you so deeply that it's like your blood pressure rises when you see them. And your friends are like, oh, isn't that guy funny?
Yeah.
You're like, what's wrong with you? How could you think that? But they just never had that kind of ick in themselves.
Oh, we got deep early here. Okay, this next update is from episode 184. This was question number 5 in a Q&A from Anonymous. The guy I've been seeing for 1.5 years won't commit. Snap me out of it. Do you remember this one?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we've had 100 of these.
Yeah, it sounds vague, but we actually named the episode A Kick in the Pants. We were very forceful in our answer. Dear Shandy, I was the 29-year-old in a situationship with a 22-year-old that wrote in on Thanksgiving. So you might remember that he wouldn't commit. I don't think he had even told his parents about her.
Now I remember this
and
guy.
she would end it, but then say, are we still doing this? I think that she was the one who kind of kept coming back, and we gave her a good whoosh.
We'll do that again? Very nice.
That's the sound effect I do in the dun 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 dun. No, is it dun 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 dun? No, it's a different one.
No, it's
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
Andy and I sing Christmas carols.
We do it a lot. I like when you do a more staccato whip, though.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Perfect.
I remember watching your episode around Christmas time with my mom and best friend. They thought you were spot on with your advice. It stung a little bit when Andy did the bit of his parents calling the cops if I showed up on the doorstep. Haha. But I asked for tough love and I needed it. To be fully transparent, right before the episode came out, I did slip up and hook up with him one more time early that December, but I have not seen him since. Sporadically throughout 2023, he would send me TikToks or a text to catch up every now and then. I told him I did not want to continue even that level of communication as I had begun dating again and didn't want reminders of that relationship.
No TikTok relationship. That's the lowest form of relationship there is.
I am 31 now and in a relationship with an amazing man, 35, who wants to wake up with me every morning and not just see me once a week. I know this is kind of an overviewed update, but I am very happy to have distance from that situationship and see it for what it was. My only regret in my original email is that I did not properly convey my appreciation for your show. I am not the best with words sometimes. I've followed Sharleen since Juan Pablo's season and all the pretty panda days. Thank you both for your wisdom, sense of humor, and bespoke advice that you impart on all your Shandies. Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. And that's kind of her, because I do recall we were kind of tough on her.
We were. I remember being very tough on her because, she's being not nice to herself in this situation.
She's not being tough on herself.
She's treating herself like crap.
Yeah.
And that no one can stand for that.
And sometimes treating yourself like crap means not being tough on yourself.
Right.
It means succumbing to the hookup.
Well, you're devaluing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Place some high value on yourself. Would a high value person be doing this? Would this behavior be that of someone who values themselves highly?
Mm-hmm. It's like succumbing to the craving. The craving, oftentimes isn't what's good for you.
No. Generally, things you crave are not good.
Yeah.
It's the long plays.
Yeah. Life is hard, isn't it?
Yeah, can't they? They should make a dessert that you can enjoy over the course of weeks.
Yeah. That doesn't go bad.
It doesn't go bad. It's not bad for you.
Just sugar. I gotta say, candy lasts forever. Is that because sugar doesn't? How does that work? Why doesn't it go bad? Yeah.
There's pretty much nothing organic in candy. You're talking about like a sucking candy?
Well, I'm trying to think of sweets. A lot of sweets don't need to be refrigerated and they just sort of last forever. I'm not talking about a Twinkie. I'm talking about candy. Is it because of sugar is just it's not going to go bad?
That's a good question. I think there's just so many chemicals and preservatives in there that no animal, big or small, wants anything to do with it.
And yet
except
here
humans.
We are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to admit, Ruby is not, she's not interested in sweet things.
No. She knows it's garbage.
Yeah. And
it's like she's more interested in eating actual garbage.
Well, hopefully a Shandy will chime in and tell us if we're right or wrong about that.
Jolie, 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 showering without impurity.
That's it?
What more do you want?
It was so beautiful, Andy. I wanted more. But you got the point across, which is that our Jolie shower head has, it's changed the water that comes out of the shower head, which has changed, I think, our hair, our skin.
And skin.
Yes.
Skin.
Because there's a lot of stuff that comes out of the
Look,
tap.
I have a tendency to get rashes. Rashes all over. And I will say with a surety that since we got the Jolie shower head, I have less rash.
Yes.
Is it fewer rashes or less? Can you say less rash? Is rash like sheep? It's like many sheep.
What's added to our water system is chlorine to kill bacteria. But that chlorine actually wreaks havoc on our hair and our skin. If you color your hair, it can cause your hair color to change, to shift, to fade. It can cause rashes, eczema, all sorts of skin issues. So what Jolie does is that it removes the chlorine, it removes the metals. And I have noticed a distinct difference in my hair fading or lack thereof.
It is scientific fact that your hair and skin will be better without chlorine and heavy metals.
Yes.
It's just, it's not like you're like, oh, I think. It's I know.
Yes. It's the only lab tested and clinically trialed filtering shower head on the market, clinically proven to reduce hair shedding in 81% of people.
What?
I know. I know. I know. That number's like hard to wrap your mind around, but it's true.
Yeah. And you know it's true because it's not 80.
And it's lab tested to reduce hair frizziness by 40%, maintain color retention, and protect the hair's surface layer.
Heavy metal should be for head banging, never for head washing.
So Jolie will give you your best skin and hair guarantee.
Head to jolieskinco.com/Shandy to try it out for yourself with free shipping.
That's jolieskinco.com, jolieskinco.com/Shandy.
And if you don't like it, you can return your Jolie within 60 days for a full refund, no questions asked. Skim, skim, skimmity, skim, skim. Always for her and sometimes for him.
You know what's funny about the Skims ad today is when I realized we were doing a Skims ad, I was like, shoot, I'm not wearing Skims. And then I was like, oh, wait, yes, I am. It's true that my outer pieces might not be Skims, but my underwear is always Skims because at this point, all my bras are Skims, all my underwear, like everything. My bralettes, my thongs, my boy shorts, all Skims. My underwear drawer has just been completely overhauled. And I'm going to be honest, it needed it.
Yeah.
Because before that, it was a little hodgepodge. Wait, you knew my underwear was...
Yeah, I sometimes look in your underwear drawer. I was like, this is a little messy here.
It says it all that my sweater today is a sort of pointelle knit. It has holes all over the place.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the right undergarments for a piece like this, it don't look good. It does not look good at all. It looks bad.
It ruins the holes.
Which brings me to the Skims Fits Everybody t-shirt bra. I am a big proponent of their scoop neck, the Fits Everybody scoop neck bralette, the racer back, all the underwear. But this t-shirt bra, can you even tell where my skin begins and my skin ends and the bra begins?
To be perfectly frank, it looks like you're braless.
Yes, because this Fits Everybody t-shirt bra comes in a beautiful array of colors. I hate that when it's just like white, black, nude.
Yeah.
As if all people have the same nude color.
Yeah, right? Who is nude?
They have so many different shades, like skin color shades to choose from, different colors to choose from. They fit like a dream. I love this bra.
It's for everyone.
It fits everybody. So shop Skims' best intimates, including the Fits Everybody collection and more at skims.com.
And Skims' New York flagship on Fifth Avenue.
After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and Dear Shandy in the drop-down menu that follows. So Andy, we revealed recently, actually in our 2024 in review episode, that you are now gluten-free.
Yes.
And this was
sadly.
actually a sad realization
Very
for Andy
sad.
because, Andy's a born and bred New Yorker. He loves a New York slice. It's just not the same.
Don't talk about it unless you got some.
But the timing couldn't be more perfect with our newest sponsor, Wild Grain, because Wild Grain is the first Bake from Frozen subscription box for breads, pastries, and pastas, and they have a gluten-free box.
A gluten-free box.
Think about that. Pastas, breads, pastries.
That's
These
it.
These are all things that you're like, oh, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. There's one brioche left in this bag. There were 4.
Yes.
These brioches are some of the best gluten-free bread product I have had since making this fateful and terrible decision.
Those brioches, they don't taste gluten-free. We made egg sandwiches with those. We put it in the oven. We toasted it nicely, put some egg in there. It was delicious. They have, look, gluten-free cheese tortellini. Normally, the only gluten-free pasta you can get is like spaghetti, maybe a penne. They are just covering all the bases. They make it so you don't have to sacrifice. We also love their chocolate chip cookies. They have these, this is a country bread. They have these breads that you throw in the oven and you bake from frozen. It's been a great addition. They also have, by the way, a plant-based box now.
You know, it's been emotionally difficult going gluten-free.
Yes.
I mean, I think you can hear it in my tone, but this has given me that hand-holding.
Yes.
This is like, come with me. We got you. It's okay. And Wild Grain has showed me that life can go on after going gluten-free.
So if you're ready to bring all your favorite carbs right to your doorstep, check out Wild Grain, where you can build your box of artisanal breads, pastries, and pastas.
For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners 30% off their first box.
Plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/Shandy to start your subscription.
You heard right. Free croissants in every box, plus $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/Shandy.
This next update is from episode 189. This was a Q&A. Question number 4 from Liz. I am in love with a man 28 years older. Am I wasting my youth? Do you remember this one?
Well, we've had a couple, but I think I know which one this is.
Dear Shandy, I, Liz, was the 24-year-old in a relationship with a 53-year-old named Michael. I am now 26 and a week ago decided to end things with him. I know you and the commenters believed he just wanted sex, and yes, it did begin as a sexual relationship, but we also had a beautiful friendship, connection, and love. Over time, the kink dynamic faded and we were friends, lovers, and I would consider him a mentor. I feel weird when the word mentor is used about someone where it's sexual.
I agree. Mentor is probably the wrong choice.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to pick apart an update, but the word mentor, even if the kink dynamic fades, if it is sexual and there is an age difference like this, I don't think the word mentor.
I think teacher is acceptable. Mentor is pushing it.
Teacher? Like a teacher.
Well, you learn things about sex.
I just believe that a sexual dynamic should be with someone who it feels
unless it's
like an equal, unless it's like a
unless
kink.
it's purely sexual. Like you literally walk in the door and there's no discussion, there's no talking, there's no emotional connection. It's purely sex.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't mean to pick that apart. That word, I was like, ugh.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
He was my biggest support during this evolving time in my life, pushing me to live life, meet people, continue down the path of financial responsibility, and try things I never would have before. I now lead a rich social life and have found a wonderful community, which I'm not sure I would have found if he hadn't encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone. Michael's goal was always to help me grow, and he did that in so many ways. But I do acknowledge that he was selfish in not choosing to let me go. This is something I recall you talked about, Andy. You felt that he should end it.
Yeah, of course. It's his
like predatory if he
responsibility.
doesn't end it.
Of course. And yeah, the fact alone that she called him her mentor.
Yes.
Suggests that he was in the driver's seat 100%.
Yes. He was selfish in not choosing to let me go when he knew I wanted more from a partner than he could give me. I tried dating other people, but eventually I realized that I could not find what I wanted when all I wanted was him. So I did what I always knew I had to do. I finally chose our expiration date. It feels like I'm ripping my heart out, but I know that in time I will heal. I don't regret these 3 years. I know myself more than I ever did before, and I know what I need more than before. We had fun and love and care and friendship, but that is not enough. I suppose this leaves me with a new question for you two. What now? How do I part ways while still in love? How long into no contact can we try to be friends? How do I find a partner my age that compares to him, or is the trick to not compare? Many questions, tears, and hopefully love ahead, Liz. I like it when updates have more distance from the change, knowing that she wrote this only a week into ending things. Do we have advice for her? I mean, she's done the right thing. I don't think anyone is arguing that. And I give him a kind of a hard time here for not being the one to end it. You know, it requires so much strength to lose this.
Well,
and he's the one who has maturity and time and wisdom on his side.
The intoxicating thing about a much older partner is the wisdom, usually. I mean, let's assume that usually a much older person has more wisdom.
Yeah, usually.
Often.
I mean, I feel like I have more wisdom than I did 10 years ago. More than 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, you do. Whether it's whatever the wisdom is, sometimes there's good wisdom, bad wisdom, mediocre wisdom. It's more.
All wisdom
it's
is
more
good.
of wisdom.
Even if you get the wisdom through a bad thing, it's still wisdom.
And it's intoxicating. Especially for someone sort of just coming out into the world for the first time. They're like, wow, this person knows everything. And I feel like I'm really connected to the world because of this person, this all-knowing person, you know?
Yeah.
And that's dangerous because, it is good in its own little way, but it's unhealthy because that person is on a different trajectory than you.
Yeah.
They've already done all the things you're about to do for the next 2 or 3 decades.
Yeah.
And they've already done it. And you're going to do it. So if you do it with them as your partner, you're not going to experience it the way you were supposed to.
100%. You don't get to experience with like virgin eyes.
Yeah. Virgin eyes. Well, yeah, right. Figurative virgin.
Or
maybe literal virgin. Either way.
You don't get to experience things the way you would with someone your own age or even someone 5 to 10 years older. I mean, this is a massive age difference.
Yeah. And you may not make the right mistakes. Part of growing up is making mistakes. If I didn't make mistakes, I have no idea what I would be. I would be a mess.
And also, you don't learn what you value when you don't make your own mistakes.
Yes.
I think making your own mistakes is one of the most important things you can do, especially in your 20s.
Yeah.
Because then you're really making your own decisions based on the mistakes you've made and how badly hurt you. Like what lesson you learned, the quality of the lesson, the type of wisdom you attained.
Right. And it's an artificial, I compare it to like drugs.
Okay.
Like opioids. Like opioids feel amazing. No one's going to argue that. Like they're great. They're
well, like, I assume they feel amazing because they're so addicted.
I mean, if you've ever been like in a hospital, had an operation or anything, I mean, or you've used them inappropriately or recreationally, everyone knows opioids feel good.
Okay, stop talking about how good opioids.
Go get some opioids. No, sorry. Is that a new sponsor? Just opioids in general? No, opioids bad. Don't
very
do
bad.
Very bad. Except in certain, seriously medical situations.
Yeah,
they're
okay.
very good. But other than that, bad.
Okay, so
but
get
anyway,
back to the analogy.
point is that when you take an opioid, no one's arguing it's good. No one's gonna be like, oh, the first time you take heroin, it's terrible. You got to get past the first time and then it's good. No, it's great. But then you're at that level now. You have to always get that feeling that you started. And now you can't enjoy life, which everything else in life that used to be a reward, that used to be something exciting and new. You're like, ugh, that's nothing compared to this. So you can say, oh, well, it's the best. Why not just stick with the best? No, because down the road, heroin will eventually kill you.
Yes.
And ruin your life.
Ruin your life. Not just kill you, ruin your life.
Ruin your life, but not just because of what it does to you physically. It's what it does to you mentally, because nothing is good enough anymore. And I'm not saying that every way older person you date is like heroin. This analogy has limitations.
Yes.
But the point holds is that if you go for the end first, like the ultimate good feeling in something, you will ruin the journey of enjoying the little victories along the way.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I got there?
You kind of got there.
Kinda?
I could tell you were slightly losing steam by the end of that analogy. You're like, I can do this. I can do this. And it was one of those rocky landings.
Well, you know what it's like? It's like I have a bad sense of direction. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go do this thing and you go do that. And we'll just meet up here like in 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, great. And so I take a left or right, right. And I get to the place and then I don't know how to get back to the place
Andy
we started.
has it's actually comical. It's funny how bad your sense of direction is. It's like we literally just walked out of that store and went in this one direction and you just don't.
Can I tell you an embarrassing fact?
Oh.
When I get out, and I've lived in this city my whole life, literally except for a couple of years. I have lived in this city, on this island, my entire life. I've taken the subway. I know every subway station in this city.
But I gotta say, you don't know them better than me.
Okay, let's take it easy. Don't make this some
I'm just saying that if you could know them better.
Okay, fine. You know the subways amazingly. I know them pretty damn well. Every time I emerge from a subway station, I literally go the exact opposite direction that my instincts tell me to go, and 95% of the time it's right.
I didn't understand that. So you're saying you exit the subway station and take the wrong direction or the right direction?
Okay, let's say I'm exiting the subway station and I need to get to an appointment.
Yes.
I'm late for it.
Okay.
Or it doesn't matter. I'm not late. I'm on time. Who cares? There's something I need to get to that's not right 5 inches away from the exit of the subway station.
Sure.
So I immediately get out of the subway station. I look around, and if there's no obvious landmarks, like the Empire State Building or some store that I like or a restaurant I like, I will immediately be like, oh, this is the way I should go. Like my body goes. It's like, that's obviously the way. And then I'll stop and be like, no, go the exact opposite way.
Wow.
And 95% of the time, that's the right way to go.
Wow.
That's how bad my sense of direction is.
Okay, how do we get onto that? Oh,
I lost my way, but I came back.
Oh, yeah, sense of direction, drugs.
Yeah, the drugs,
opioids,
and dating older people.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so, I mean, I agree with you.
And by the way, I want to make it clear, I'm not
Yes.
talking about dating someone who's like 5-10 years older. We're talking about
No.
dating someone who's like generation older than you.
Also, as many Shandies said, and constantly
or if you're a
said,
teenager dating someone who's in their
well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not just the age difference, it's the ages.
right. It's the stage of life.
Okay, so I mean, are we giving her advice? She says, "How do I part ways while still in love?" This ties in our answer or our thoughts on the last update, which is to treat yourself with value, like not just succumbing to the craving.
It's also your overcoming heart. So like in life in general, you live within your heart. You should make decisions based on your heart.
Yeah.
I think that's usually the right decision. In this case, you have to have head over heart.
Yes.
Because your heart's telling you something that's actually wrong.
Yes.
Because it doesn't know. The heart's not fully educated on every scenario that can come upon it in life. And in this case, your head needs to take control. So what I would advise her is work this through in your head, not in your heart.
She asks, how long into no contact can we try to be friends? While I think it's possible you can be friends one day, and I mean, we have a whole episode on that. Can you be friends with an ex? Episode 5, I'll link it here. But I don't think you should have that in mind at this point.
I will say this. As long as she has it in mind, it's too early to be friends.
100%. In fact, I would argue that the friendship with an ex tends to happen past a point of like,
almost
not
accidentally.
not thinking about them like at all.
The only time you can be friends with an ex is when you've stopped thinking about, oh, I really want to be friends with them because that way I'll be able to stay with them forever.
Yeah, I'll still have them in my life.
Yeah, you want to be like, I want to be friends with them because we have a lot in common and I feel like we could be support for each other through life.
Yeah, but but even that, it has to get to a point where you're like not thinking about each other.
Right, but you have to think about it maturely.
Yes.
I want them as a friend like all my other friends.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Oh, good luck. Because, I think she needs luck.
Yeah, good luck.
This is
a luck.
hard.
This is a luck, but there's also work. Do the work.
Yes, this is work.
Stay disciplined.
Yes. She's had someone guiding her for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
A mentor.
Yeah. Why don't you have...
Who's having sex with her.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
This is where the work begins.
Yes.
The work involved is a lot of self-work. It's doing it yourself.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah. Sorry, I sound harsh. I know, but this needs to I do think this needs to end.
The pattern needs to end.
Yes. Okay, so this next update is from episode 231. This was a Q&A question number 4 from Maybe Shallow. I love my husband except for one cosmetic flaw. Should I bring it up or am I just shallow?
Oh, I remember this.
Yes. Do you remember what the thing was, what the flaw was?
It was his hair, right?
No, that was a different one.
It was, that was a different, it's his teeth.
Yes,
Yeah.
Andy, very good.
Well, that's what James Brown said, all man's got is his hair and his teeth.
Mm.
And so James Brown was a very superficial man.
I mean, also
he was saying it not in a nasty way. He was saying that as far as looks, women have all sorts of things to do things with. But as far as looks, men only have their hair and their teeth.
And
other than that, it's just
penis.
Oh, yeah. Would that have made the quote better? Oh, man, God. There's a hair, teeth, and penis.
Hey, Shandy, answering your call to send in updates. I first want to say thank you for answering my question because as I mentioned in my previous email, I still have been too embarrassed to ask anyone in my life about this or tell them I wrote into a podcast. Haha. I decided to take your advice mostly, but added a hint of friendly sneakiness in order to bring up my husband's teeth. I mentioned in my question that he has been occasionally insecure, but I did not specify how. So to clarify, I did mean about his appearance. The worst part is people have always told him he has an amazing smile. He really does. His whole face lights up. So I didn't want to critique the one thing he always got compliments on. So in deciding to bring it up, albeit by the coward's route, I one day showed him a couple of teeth products that I had done some research on that minimize the appearance of stains and whiten teeth at home. I told him I've been seeing a lot of these products advertised lately and wanted us to try them. He said, "Oh yeah, I didn't know you could do anything about stains on teeth." Sure, he was none the wiser about our schemes. We've been using the goods at home now since I got the answer from you all, and they've made a great improvement. I also have dentist appointments booked for cleanings regularly now. As far as him needing some filing done for the length of his teeth, I just flat out asked him if he'd ever thought about it a few months after we'd been doing the stain removal treatments. I couldn't ask too close together. It would have roused suspicion. And he said no, and that he didn't care about it. I could tell he was slightly hurt about the question, so I just decided to say, all right, and move on. And you know what? I swear the teeth are smaller now. I think the fact that I had built up this issue in my head made me way more focused on his teeth than I need to be. My husband is truly the best man, and I find him very attractive for many reasons. It's okay if there's one small thing about him that isn't perfect, and it's okay if I'm, quote, just exactly maybe shallow, as I think Andy put it, smiley face. Also, in the time since the question, we've had a baby.
Wow.
Oh, I've attached a little picture of our Shandy fam for you all. Oh, that's so nice.
Oh, that's
okay.
Great.
What a great update.
Yeah.
Everybody happy.
Everybody happy. And it shows you can, if you really love someone, there's ways to tell them that there's things that you think could make them even more lovable.
She did it perfectly.
She did it more perfectly.
She did it absolutely perfect.
Perfectly.
More perfect. Also,
is that possible? Can
yes.
you be more perfect? Or is perfect the absolute?
Isn't that like over exaggerating?
I don't think there's a little room for error with perfect.
The word perfect.
Is perfect defined as the absolute, like perfect? Like when you're like, oh,
perfect,
how's your fish? You're like, oh, perfect.
Well,
is it really perfect?
No,
it could be a tiny bit better.
Because perfection is subjective.
Perfection is subjective. So you can say more perfect.
Yes, I think
because you're saying basically everyone has their version of perfect. You're saying it's the perfect with the person who has the best taste in perfect.
Yeah, but I could think I have the best taste in perfect, but you have a different definition of perfect for every specific thing.
So there really is there's no like authority on perfect.
No.
Therefore, perfect is subjective. So you can say more perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I said. Okay. Love that update. This next update is from episode 304. This was question number 1 from One Bored Babe. And the title was, Does Healthy Equal Boring?
I remember this one. I remember that.
Dear Shandy, first, I want to say thank you for reading my email on the podcast. It was a surreal experience to listen to you discuss my question on my way to work. Isn't it funny to think that we can provide like a surreal experience for people?
It is. It's weird. It's crazy.
It's kind of tripping me out. If I start to think about that, I'm like,
I can't process that. That's the problem. I wish I could. Like if someone said like 30 years ago, like there will come a time where you provide a surreal experience for someone.
On the regular.
Wow, that's so cool. But now I don't understand. I can't process it.
Oh.
I have no perspective anymore.
Oh, because
I'm sad about that.
No, I think you haven't been thinking about it enough.
So maybe I could like have a meditation
Literally,
on this?
I think oftentimes when we answer a Q&A question, it could be a surreal experience for someone.
I think I can get to the place where I can appreciate that again.
Why? I don't think you've ever lost it. If anything, I think you're better at appreciating it than me.
Maybe I've just gotten used to appreciating things. And now appreciating things is the baseline.
Oh my God. So now you have to start appreciating things.
Oh my God, you're right. Sounds like a lot of work.
Here is an update for you. Andy, you likened my aversion to someone's introverted, sometimes boring tendencies to a distaste for goat cheese that cannot be cured by time or sheer will, as you cannot change your natural preferences. I completely agree with this. However, I will add that if I have never actually tried goat cheese, but have convinced myself that goat cheese is not for me, I could be missing out on a potentially great dairy product. As someone who usually goes for nice smoked Gouda, creamy, tangy goat cheese seems foreign and unlikable at first, but maybe the smoked Gouda has suddenly given me terrible gas, and I realize I need to find an alternative cheese option with more digestibility, so I begrudgingly try goat cheese only to find that it is the best cheese I have ever had, and I feel silly for wasting so much time being bloated and miserable with smoked Gouda.
Now, as much as I appreciate this wonderful analogy, how does this relate to her question?
Okay, we're getting there. You also mentioned a caveat that if I go for the bad boys or have work to do on myself, maybe I should give this relationship a little more time given my tumultuous relationship history. You said that my boredom may be a sign that I'm used to the ups and downs of toxic relationships and I need to learn how to separate boredom from the ease and simplicity of being together. Wow, this is so well written.
Okay, but I do have a bone to pick here.
Okay.
Her analogy falls apart because because she's tried the goat cheese and she didn't like it. So I don't see her not having tried the goat cheese in this situation. That's all I'm saying is she tried the goat cheese, she didn't like it. This has to be a new analogy.
Okay. Well, so she touched on how the boredom might be a sign that she's used to the ups and downs of a toxic relationship.
So she's saying, "Oh, the distaste I'm having for this goat cheese
just stop
might
coming
be
back to the cheese. This is attached to the sentence that I just read, not the cheese. Wow, this was spot on. So now you don't remember what was spot on, Andy, do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so that you did that to yourself. Okay, so I'll reread the previous sentence before you
Sorry,
dove in.
I apologize.
You said that my boredom may be a sign that I am used to the ups and downs of toxic relationships and need to learn how to separate boredom from the ease and simplicity of being together. Wow, this was spot on.
Yes.
After being in multiple physically and emotionally abusive relationships, it's safe to say I had a pattern and needed to do some serious healing. In looking inward, I came to realize that the only issue in the relationship was me.
Wow.
I was looking for things that were wrong because they felt different. The concept of a steady, consistent, healthy, reassuring person was so foreign to me, I did not know how to appreciate it and instead looked for ways to go back to my comfort zone of gas-inducing smoked Gouda.
Oh, smoked Gouda is really getting a bad rap in this.
You know, I do think smoked Gouda is overrated.
I do not like smoked Gouda.
I
don't like any smoked cheese.
Smoked cheese, like, that's just... Come on, let cheese sing.
I agree. Why are you smoking it? It's already cheese.
Yes.
Leave it alone.
Just go for a stinkier cheese if that's what you want.
You know what it's like? It's like having pizza with a million toppings. Like pizza is perfection. You want to add one topping? I'm fine with that. 3, 4 toppings, you don't appreciate pizza.
Yeah, when it's overflowing, when it starts to have that convex.
Yeah, where you're eating a sandwich.
Silhouette.
Now you're eating like an open-faced sandwich.
Yeah.
That's not pizza.
You advised me to self-reflect and break up with him if I was truly bored and averse to his personality type. Well, I am happy to report that after considering all of your advice and doing the personal work in therapy, I decided to give it time, and I found out that I love goat cheese.
Wow.
I love goat cheese so much that goat cheese and I have been together for almost 10 months and are seriously discussing moving in together.
Amazing.
I
got chills. I've never thought. Imagine someone told me many years ago that I would get chills hearing about someone how much they love goat cheese.
Oh,
I got chills.
I mean, this is fantastic. I am not bored. I am safe. My body is no longer in fight or flight.
Wow.
In fact, I learned that when you are around a partner that makes you feel loved, your body releases oxytocin, which can relieve stress and even make you feel sleepy.
I agree. I fall asleep all the time on the couch with you.
Our time together is stimulating and exhilarating in all the right ways while also being laid back and predictable in ways I've never experienced but always wanted. In short, here's what I learned. Number 1, no one is destined to be in an abusive relationship. You can get out and it does get better. Number 2, healthy does not equal boring. And 3, try the damn goat cheese. Sincerely, one bored babe.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. I have nothing to add.
Fantastic. I think that should be published. That should be a published essay.
Can we also talk about
in
how
the Atlantic.
the writing? How great was that writing?
It's publishable.
Publishable.
The whole thing. And I'll take it back. I understand where she was going with the analogy. It's not about trying. It's about really committing to trying.
Yeah.
That was the one wrinkle. But other than that, perfection.
Okay. All right. This next update is from episode 307. This is a Q&A. Question number 3 from Triply Baffled. Strangers constantly ask me a question I hate. How should I respond?
Oh, the pregnant thing.
The are you natural? She was a triplet, and she was always asked.
Oh, right. I knew it had something to do with pregnancy. the after effects of the product of pregnancy.
Yeah. So basically, she's a triplet, and whenever anyone finds out that she's a triplet, they'll be like, "Are you natural? Were you natural?"
What the hell? They got nothing better to ask?
You know what I was interested by in the response to that one is we strongly felt that that's an inappropriate question, and that she should come up with some sort of like quip comeback to put people in their place. But actually, I was surprised by how many Shandies did not think it was that offensive a question.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And I thought I was coming to people's back.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing justice work.
Well, I think what I was surprised by is I often feel like I'm less offended by things than the majority is. But in this case, I felt I was more offended than actually, it wasn't the majority. It was just a significant minority did not think it was that big a deal. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. What's wrong with you silly minority?
Dear Shandy, I really appreciate how you answered my question. I have answered the question of are you natural by saying no, I am 100% synthetic. I am a government robot. I think it diffuses the question with a bit of humor and shows I'm not interested in answering. And so far, no one has seemed to think I misunderstood the question and tried to clarify. I don't know that anyone would feel comfortable enough to say, no, I meant, how were you conceived? If they were that blunt, I think I would be able to just tell them that I didn't want to answer the question. After watching your Q&A, I realized why the question feels so icky to me. I don't think the conception story is mine to tell. I wasn't part of any decisions there. I was merely the result. I still think it would be out of line for someone to ask my mom these questions, and people do ask her. However, if I were to answer them, I feel like I'm giving out information that isn't mine to share. I know people don't ask these questions with any type of malicious intent, which is why I've always just answered them in the past. I feel better that I'm not answering anymore. Just because someone is interested in something doesn't mean they have the right to know it. And as you said, Andy, there are so many more interesting things on the topic of being a triplet you can ask. I'd be happy to answer those questions. Thank you again, Triply Baffled.
Yeah, I mean, good.
I mean, I agree with all this. Yeah. I do think, bearing in mind the vocal minority's opinions on this, there is sometimes just an innocent curiosity. Yeah. Especially since, IVF and all sorts of fertility treatments.
But who cares?
It's at the forefront right now.
Why do we care?
I know. I also just think it's nobody's business. But, being a triplet is very rare. And so I think there comes with that a lot of curiosity. But I stand by what we said.
To me, the threshold is 6. If you say you're a sextuplet, then maybe I'll allow for that question because it's so bizarre. But even then, there's better questions. Like, are you the most popular of your siblings?
Yes.
Do you share clothing?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think the same thoughts sometimes when you're in different places? I'm not sure how you could prove that.
Do you have the same allergies?
You have the same allergies.
Like, do you have the same reaction?
Do you like the same movies?
Yes.
Do you like the same music?
Does smoked goat cheese give all of you gas?
Yeah, and your farts all sound the same and smell the same. There's so the least interesting thing to me of all the questions is how you were conceived.
I agree.
What do you get from that? You're like, okay, fine. I was conceived naturally. Okay.
Good talk. Yeah. Okay, well, I love this update, and I think her comeback is great.
Yeah, good for her. So, Sharleen, what is there to say about the brand that you've already said everything about?
I feel like you start repeating yourself. Not you, I mean like us. Yeah. Because we love Cozy Earth so much. We have done years worth of ads for Cozy Earth.
The reason we can keep doing these ads is because telling the truth sets you free.
Yes.
And it's easy to tell the truth. Telling the truth doesn't take work. I'm not working right now.
No.
This is not work.
No.
I could talk about Cozy Earth all day. I do. I talk to other people about Cozy Earth in my free time.
Yes.
Is that work?
No.
No, I'm trying to spread the good word. Because why are these people not using Cozy Earth?
Cozy Earth is one of those brands that has changed the way you sleep.
Yeah.
You sweat less in our viscose from bamboo bed sheets from Cozy Earth, which are cooling. They are somehow temperature regulating. So when you sweat less in bed, it is a more pleasant experience for those around you.
No.
Just saying.
So you're saying that we would be divorced without Cozy Earth.
And you are wearing the Cozy Earth viscose from bamboo joggers. You have these in multiple colors now. You also have them in gray and in burgundy, and you have matching tops for each one. And you look so cute in them. I have the set in black. And I mean, our love for Cozy goes on and on because our hand towels, our bath towels, our pillows, our pillowcases. I mean, what isn't cozy at this point?
When I am touching a Cozy Earth product, I feel like I'm in good hands.
Yes.
You ever have products in your house, like sometimes you'll have a towel or a sheet or a pillowcase or something where you're like, I'm not sure this is looking out for me.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't feel like the driver here is licensed.
Oh, I agree. Or this is the worst, is when you like one product from a brand. So let's, we started with the sheets.
Inconsistency.
Yes. I hate that.
Yeah.
So we started with the sheets, and let's say from there we get the joggers, and you don't like the joggers, and then you lose trust in the brand. But Cozy is the opposite. It's at the point where now we love so many of their different products. I hand over the reins gladly.
If Cozy Earth came out with a car, I would buy it. So a better year starts with better sleep. Wrap yourself in Cozy Earth.
Don't wait. Head to cozyearth.com/Shandy and use our exclusive code Shandy for up to 40% off.
That's cozyearth.com/Shandy.
And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to let Cozy Earth know that we, Dear Shandy, sent you.
Pros.
Oof.
It's like that IMAX. Remember the old IMAX thing?
It was. Okay, we'll keep that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. People are like, why?
It's good. It gives it a lot of weight.
It does.
And it deserves weight because it's a hair care line that is no longer off the rack.
Yes. So Pros is custom made to order hair care. It literally has your name on it. I always bring proof because I think, I don't know.
It's nice.
I never, as a kid, was able to find anything with my name on it, especially
right.
spelled
You have a weird
correctly.
name.
And so whenever anything has Sharleen on it spelled for me, then I have to show it off. But seriously, this is my pre-shampoo mask. It's the Root Refresh, and this has made a big difference in my scalp. Not to go into too much detail, but it makes a big difference.
Your scalp is your Achilles heel.
Yeah. So with Pros, you fill out their free online hair consultation where you describe your hair. You say what you would like your hair to be more like, because maybe you're not satisfied with your hair's performance.
Sure.
You also include your zip code, which is massive because then the algorithm, their AI algorithm, takes into account the water hardness where you live, the humidity where you live. All of these different factors play a role in how your hair performs. This AI algorithm takes into account 85 plus different factors, Andy. That's a lot.
And do you think you're taking any of those factors in when you go to the store and buy some shampoo off the shelf?
Well, that's the thing. And on top of that, when something is made to order, it's not being made in excess. There is less waste inherently. And finally, Pros is backed by over 500,000 five-star reviews.
And you can't buy that many people.
No.
Some people you see like 50 reviews, you're like, 500,000? No, that's a town. That's a small city.
Yes.
So Pros is so confident that you'll bring out your best hair and skin in 2025.
That they're offering an exclusive trial offer of 50% off your first hair care subscription order at pros.com/dearshandy.
So take your free consultation and get your one-of-a-kind formulas.
And see the difference custom hair care can make with 50% off at pros.com. That's PROSE.com/dearshandy. So this next update is from episode 313. This is a Q&A question 6 from Sarah P. My aunts sold a belonging of my grandparents that I really wanted. Should I let
this was the car
grudge go? It was.
This was the car. And I said that I would sing a song for her if she got the car back. I hope she didn't get the car back. I'll have a song.
Okay. Where do you want to place your bets?
I don't think she got the car.
Why not?
But I think she made an effort.
Why don't you think she got
I
the car?
think she's writing in because she tried and she didn't get it.
Okay.
I think she tried and there was a good open conversation and it was resolved nicely and their relationships were improved, but the car was not given to her.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Okay.
I hope that's what happened because that's the biggest part here was the communication.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily getting the car.
Yeah.
The car is really, that's the icing on the cake. It's the communication that was a problem here for me.
Okay. Dear Shandy. Oh, wow. You actually read my question. I don't know what I expected when I wrote in my initial email to the podcast, but for some reason I didn't expect what happened. My thinking was I'd write my feelings down, email them into the void, and move on. Quick summary, I wrote in asking if I should hold on to my grudge against my aunts who sold my late grandmother's classic Mustang after declining my offer to buy it on the pretense that the funds would go towards my grandfather's end-of-life care. There's been a series of events since the reading of my question on the pod, culminating in another email to my aunts with a link to the Dear Shandy episode.
Wow.
Sorry, I am not sure they became weekly listeners after your response, but the outside perspective was too good not to share. First, listening to the episode, it was a huge vindication for me that I wasn't crazy and the situation was just weird. Andy's first sentence, "Those ants suck," still makes me cackle. I can't believe it's possible they listened to that. I actually question whether or not they even listened.
No.
To be honest. I was also shocked at how spot on your assessment of the situation was. Sharleen correctly surmised that the family's hierarchical dynamic of the siblings versus everyone else is alive and well amongst my aunts. My mother dealt with their BS for years before my parents split, always being othered by them rather than welcomed as a sister-in-law. After listening to the episode, can we talk about, by the way, how that ties in the first one? The first update?
Oh, yeah.
The sister thing?
Yeah.
Hierarchy?
Yes.
Like that's just as likely as that you're never one of them.
You're never one of them.
Yeah, I
never.
think it can kind of go in one way or the other. After listening to the episode and hearing Andy's opinion that I should confront them, I thought, yeah, I will do that. I don't need to hold on to these feelings, and they should know how this has all impacted me. And then I never did.
Oh.
Whoops. A few months later, I was on a vacation with my father, older sister, and all of our spouses. The Mustang conversation came up, and at the behest of my husband, I shared the podcast episode with them. My father was surprised that I felt this way, as he has talked himself into moving on, because as he saw it, I was the person directly affected and I must be over it by now. He was moved to tears in knowing that his sisters had hurt me this way and encouraged me to talk to them and even share the email. Ooh. The next week, there was a family party to celebrate one of my cousin's graduations.
Oh, God. I would have liked to be a fly on the wall at that party.
This is so intense. I wasn't able to attend.
Oh, coward.
But my father did. To his surprise, the friend of my aunt who bought the Mustang was also at the party and drove the Mustang to the party.
Wow.
He confronted his sisters, even telling one of them about the podcast, and said they should expect to hear from me. I don't know how to feel about this. I didn't realize we would be so involved.
You know, somehow now I can fully appreciate what we offer. I feel good about being inserted into this situation.
I only vaguely remember what we said.
We said a lot of bad things about them. Yeah, I feel very good about
Those
this.
ants suck. Okay, so he told them about the podcast and said they should expect to hear from me. My aunt responded, "Oh, I love podcasts."
Uh-oh.
I was livid when I found out this stranger drove my grandma's Mustang to the party, knowing another family member wanted to buy it. A heads up from my aunt would have been nice. The next day, I wrote an email to all my aunts detailing my perspective of the series of events leading up to the sale and my feelings afterwards. And of course, episode 313 of Dear Shandy with a timestamp to my question. I've gotten one phone call from one of them since then, but no acknowledgement from the other two.
Was the phone call about the podcast?
Let me keep going.
Okay.
I didn't write that. Stop making it about you,
No,
Andy.
it's not. I just want to know if she addressed the elephant in the room. No, it is also is about me, but yes.
I didn't write that email with the expectation of a response, but the silence does feel deafening. The one phone call with my aunt was disappointing. She didn't apologize and essentially tried to paint herself as a victim because myself and my father are upset with her for how everything was handled. I told her, quote, "What I want is for everyone to stand by their decision to sell the Mustang. Don't say sorry to me now if you aren't sorry. If you think the right thing happened, say that and stand by it. I can respect that, but your sorry can't do anything for me now." Unquote.
Wow.
There are fewer moments in my life that I've been as proud of myself for sticking up for myself than that. I was respectful, but stern and steadfast. Since all of this has transpired, I have no hope of getting my grandmother's Mustang back. My grandfather has also passed away and his funeral is next weekend, where I am sure I'll see all of my aunts. I do not plan to discuss any of this with them, and I plan to be nothing other than cordial and short. Their entire reasoning for selling the Mustang for as much money as they could was to pay for his care, which wasn't close to being unaffordable. After his passing, my father showed me my grandfather's bank accounts, and the money that the car sold for ultimately did not make a difference in his quality of life. Of course, nobody has a crystal ball, and we didn't know how long he would live, but this makes it sting a bit again. This isn't much of a feel-good update, but I am at peace that my grandmother and grandfather are together again, and I have to focus on what I can control. I have to thank you both for taking the time to read my initial question and prompting me to not sweep my feelings under the rug. Even if nothing can be changed now, at least I made my voice heard. Best regards, Sarah P.
Well, the good news is I don't have to write a song.
And she wrote another email, by the way, with one more detail. The day the buyer came to get my grandmother's car, he actually lowered his offer from $25,000 to $23,000. So at the end of the day, it was actually sold for less than I would have paid, combining cash and what we would have covered in medical expenses. I did not find this out until after I wrote in my initial question.
Well, I stick to my original thesis that these ants suck.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe she'll send this over with a timestamp. I'm worried one of these days someone's going to like show up at our door with like a pitchfork or something. Is that possible?
Very possible. I'd like to think that anyone who would have gotten angry at us would listen to us and be like, you know what? They articulated how much I suck. Therefore, I'm no longer angry.
I do think Sarah P. I was sort of hoping she was going to go to the person about the Mustang.
Well, this is my one gripe about this, and I believe you just stated it, is I would have preferred this was not done over email.
Yeah.
And I will say that about everything. As much as I love the fact that the podcast was linked, I got to give you credit for that. Good move. Power move. Strong. But maybe a little too strong. But I give you credit.
Aggressive move, yeah.
But if you are going to discuss something this sensitive with this much nuance and room for misinterpretation and emotions, this must be done not over email, not over text, not over the phone call, not over writing.
Maybe a phone call. Phone call is second.
In person. There's a reason. Like, you think if all business was done over the phone, like what would there 90% of transactions would never happen. It's all about the in-person meeting where you're like, oh, you have two legs, you have a head.
Yeah.
You know, you see the world similarly to me.
I'm not just going to ignore you when you tell me how you feel, which is what 2 out of 3 of them did.
It is so easy to sit behind a computer and say all the nastiest things or say all the nicest things.
Or let out your feelings. But I think, Sarah P., I think what we're saying is the next step in your being heard journey is doing it in person.
Yes.
Because I guarantee you, she would feel better about the outcome if she had done it in person because she would have gotten a different outcome. I'm not saying she would have gotten the Mustang, but she would have gotten a different reaction from the aunts when it's face to face and they can't just literally ignore her email.
I think if going way back, everything had been done in person, I think she'd be sitting in the driver's seat of a sweet ass Mustang. Right now.
There's a lesson to be learned here. Yeah. I think, you know, I love that her voice was heard. I love that she got it out and she is proud of how she handled it and all these things. Like, this is all huge. And I think it's like major personal development stuff. But I do wish she had gone more for like solving the problem, which was getting the car.
Yeah.
Instead of like punishing the people who messed up, it's like getting, for me, I wish that it had been more like, how do I get me the contact of the person who bought the car, the phone number. Like, I want to inquire about buying the car back, that kind of thing. Right.
I think everything was handled poorly on both sides. Nothing against
Sarah P.
You
think she handled it poorly?
No, I think, no. I'm saying that the getting of the car part was handled poorly by you, Sarah P. Not out of malice.
Initially, because she didn't voice.
Yeah. No, I'm not criticizing you.
She's in this position in the first place because she doesn't make her voice heard.
Right. I'm not saying you're not a bad person. I want to make it very clear that you didn't do anything bad. You just did the thing that wasn't going to get you the end result the best way possible.
Yeah, initially.
Yeah. And I do think in general, I want to go back to the email. If you send the email the way you did, what you've now done is created a forum away from you of people discussing your email. So now you can have all the bad guys being like, oh, did you see this email? Blah, blah, blah. And it just sort of mushrooms into something that you may not want it to be. Whereas if you went face to face, you kind of contain it a little more, because when you put something into the wild like that, you have no control over it. And oftentimes, as we discussed before, when someone is faced with a missive as opposed to an in-person meeting, they are allowed to be much more, for lack of a better word, nasty about their response to it.
Yeah,
it's
more impersonal.
Within their friend circle or whoever the other accomplices were, they can be a little more harsh.
Yeah, what are the odds that the 3 aunts have not talked about that email?
And talked shit about it.
Yeah.
There's no question. It's impossible that
and it's not that I think that Sarah P should give a shit, because I don't think she should.
No, as a matter of fact, you can say in one way you had a victory because you just basically gave them a huge finger, which I respect.
Yes.
But I don't know if that was your intention or if you kind of took the slightly easier way out. I'm not sure. Either way, just, be honest with yourself. It was an easier way out. In the future, I would say don't do the hard thing. Just talk to them face
in
to
person.
face.
And I also think that, who knows? The car is gone. I understand that. But I don't like to go down without a fight, personally. And I do wonder if she could at least have gotten one step closer to getting the car back if she had spoken to them in person.
Yes. If I would write a song about this not happening for her, the song would be called No Mustang Sarah. No Mustang Sarah. Something.
Good tune. All right, Sarah P. Thank you for the update. I feel like we kind of sound like we went hard on her. I don't mean for it to sound like that.
I think
This is a big step for you. I know how big a step this was for you. So this is very exciting. The next step is in person.
Yes.
Because if she learns to speak her mind and voice what she wants and be direct in it, the future Mustang situation doesn't occur.
Agreed.
She gets the Mustang from the get-go.
And I'd like to close by thanking Sarah for all the entertainment you've given us and the Shandies. Yes. I think this was top 10 entertaining question of the year.
Yeah. All right. This next update is from episode 321. This was a Q&A. Question 1 from Passenger Princess. Is imitation of my Bumble profile really flattery? Do you remember this one?
I do.
How he stole the line, looking for my passenger princess.
This guy was disgusting.
Well,
he's a loser. He's a loser.
So as a refresher, he had kind of sort of stolen a line from her profile, her Bumble profile, put it on his profile while they were still dating.
Ugh, like what?
But yet his profile was still active, so it wasn't exclusive.
He's a monster.
Dear Shandy, I regret to inform that things ended between me and the Bumble guy before I heard your advice to confront him about imitating my profile. If only because Andy offered to Venmo me for doing so.
Did I?
I still genuinely considered reaching back out just to get to the bottom of it, but I ultimately decided against that. He's the one who rejected me after our 3rd date, so the last thing I want is to give off the impression that I'm hung up on him and or trying to reopen communication. I do think the fact that he soon ended things tips the scales toward your theory, that he was more so regurgitating my bio than trying to banter with me through our profiles or something. Hopefully this update suffices to satisfy your curiosity. I mean, I felt strongly that's what it was. Like that would be some high level flirting if he's like communicating with her through their still active dating profiles.
Yeah, that was a real
There's
stretch.
like a 0.1% chance. As for me, rest assured, I'm not too torn up about it. I was more relieved than anything when he sent me an "It's been great getting to know you" text, which is telling.
Oh, it's been great getting to know her because it's helped him a lot in his dating.
It's been great stealing your profile. I'm mostly upset that I didn't beat him to it, if I'm honest. Regardless, it was totally validating to hear your commentary after the fact. I felt silly for taking issue with his Bumble bio of all things, like I was making something out of nothing. But thanks for your commiseration. I feel emboldened to have been icked out by his copying me. You're right, that was weak of him. Sincerely, Passenger Princess.
All right, good. I'm glad there's agreement here. And this guy will get his due. You can't live life like that and not get punished.
Well, I recall we talked about what it says about, I don't want to say all people of a generation, but like some. I do think that there is a type of personality that kind of just skirts by in life doing that.
Well, that's it.
Especially with AI in the mix.
Plagiarizing has become, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's like everything is plagiarized now.
Well, but also
plagiarism is literally a technology now.
Yeah.
It's like the telephone was as much a technology as plagiarism is now. Literally, who's writing papers anymore for school unless you absolutely, like it's high level, like a master's or something, or high level, like your thesis in college, where they're really going to keep an eye on. You think teachers have time to look at every single stupid essay from fifth grade on?
Isn't that terrifying though? It's terrifying. They can even take your voice,
make
it sound
your
like
image,
you said it.
Your actual face.
It's so unsurprising that this is probably becoming rampant.
It's minimized.
People probably shop around profiles not even interested in the people, but like, oh, I like that line. I'm going to use that. I'm going to pretend that I came up with that.
It's cannibalism. There's going to come a day where plagiarism is seen as a good thing. It's like, oh, how well have you plagiarized something? Oh, that's a good plagiarism. Nice. I like that.
Rank the plagiarism.
Yeah. Like the best, someday they're like, instead of the greatest poet, they'll be the greatest plagiarist. Like this man, the way he steals words.
Artful.
It's curation. He's a curator. It's like you're no longer an actual creator.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that guy's a genius. Did you see he stole that thing and then that thing? He stole three things and put them together. It was amazing.
Look at those Instagram accounts where it's just like reposting other people's things. And they'll have like millions of followers.
Everyone's plagiarizing.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes.
Fat Jewish. He's a funny guy, but he's a plagiarist.
Curator.
He became famous from plagiarism.
Curating.
I'd like to hear your response to that, Fat Jewish.
Okay, this next update is from episode 340. This was a Q&A question 4 from Songless Bird. My boyfriend dislikes my singing, so now I don't sing around him. Does this matter?
No.
Looking back over my writing of that one is a bit of a leading question. Does this matter?
Nope.
Dear Shandy, I'm so excited to join your pantheon of Q&A updates. Mine is probably not the most exciting though. The Q&A episode was released a cool 2 weeks after I had already broken up with him. I can't believe the idea of picking a fight or breakup by singing at him never occurred to me. Ha ha. We wanted her to just start singing at him. The actual conversation was hard and uncomfortable and, in my opinion, rather prolonged. I didn't give specifics or list grievances because it felt emotionally dishonest and landed somewhere around, I just don't feel like we're it for each other. And although this must have been frustrating to hear and maybe hard to process for him, it was the best I could offer and had come to terms with this. This breakup was such a good idea, though. I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing it earlier. Now, a few months later, I feel a verve for life and new experiences. Verve, good
nice.
word.
Yeah.
Verve.
And pantheon.
Pantheon, yeah.
I like those words.
I'm regularly visiting the symphony, making new friends, strengthening ties with old ones, and rediscovering old hobbies. And yes, this includes singing to myself around the house. For what it's worth, I'm a classically trained musician, although my primary instruments don't include voice, but I do think my singing is rather pleasant and have historically received only compliments, no complaints from roommates. It's weird because I never felt like I was holding myself back in my last relationship, but maybe I just hadn't noticed it happening so gradually. Even my friends noted I've perked up since the breakup, saying, quote, you were like a chandelier with the dimmer switch low and now you're all shiny again.
Good analogy.
I'm excited for things to come and more importantly, I'm excited about my life right now. Thank you both so much for your advice and validation. Songless Bird.
That's great.
Not surprising.
No.
I mean, this was not going to...
How can you tolerate
I'm sorry.
that?
It is not meant to be with someone who's like, I don't like your singing. Stop singing.
Your
singing's annoying me.
If I know my past self, I use the canary in the coal mine as a pun intended
you think?
analogy.
Okay.
Because the singing was the canary in the coal mine for the way he was feeling about her.
You know, that does sound like something you would do.
I think I probably did that.
Yeah.
If I didn't do that, I don't know where I was that day.
Do you want to place a bet on whether or not you did that?
I will bet. Is this an even odds bet?
I don't know what's going to happen. What happened? Like who's?
I bet. Wait, yeah. Are you betting that I didn't say it? You have to bet that I didn't say it.
Okay.
I'm betting that I did. So $20.
No.
That's too steep. $3.
$1 because I'm not confident at all.
$1.
I'm just counter betting.
Okay, $1.
Okay. You think you said
if I know me, my past self made the canary in the coal mine analogy.
Okay.
As a pun.
Okay.
Intended.
Maybe this will be future Instagram content.
It's the worst bet ever.
Okay. This final update is from episode 346, question 4 from KB.
It's the final update. What's the next lyric?
I think we might have sung that in a past updates episode.
I think we've sung that song at least twice.
I'm the paparazzi in my friend group, but it's never reciprocated help.
Oh, yeah.
This one's recent. Dear Sharleen and Adam, I'm sorry, but that will never get old, aka Shandy.
At least now I got the joke.
I heard your siren call for an update and had to oblige. I'm KB, and you answered my question in Q&A episode 346. I'm the photographer who finds herself documenting her friends' lives but not getting the same energy in return. This isn't so much of an update as it is a reflection, a massive thank you, and an opportunity to tell Andy how right he was. Oh. I loved hearing your take. Simply writing the email took the weight of this problem off my shoulders, and hearing you two discuss it changed my perspective in the most positive way. I do like to think of, because sometimes I feel sad that we can't get to every email, but I do think writing and submitting the email helps a lot of people.
That's the therapy.
Part of it.
Writing down your issues is so therapeutic.
Yeah. Everyone says that like writing it was a big release.
Yeah, that's why people who keep a diary are often, happier people.
Is that true?
When someone does some really terrible thing and then they find their diary and they have all this like sort of.
Yeah, we've had a Q&A question about that.
It's like a Ted Kaczynski level diary.
You empowered me to open up to a few friends about my feelings, and now they know that it's something I've struggled with, and I know that I'm no longer dealing with it in private. I know this is not even 2 months ago, but I've gone into my recent nights out with little expectation of photos and way more appreciation for time with my friends, and most of the time I've been pleasantly surprised when I look at my camera roll. You helped me to see that it's all about quality, not quantity, and for that I am grateful. Listening to your discussion was like therapy. I felt so seen and cared for hearing Sharleen empathize with my feelings and reading listeners' supportive comments. But let me tell you, Andy hit the nail on the head with his take.
I'm just listening.
To refresh, Sharleen felt like it was the reciprocation that I was yearning for, to be seen the way I see my friends. We, by the way, had a heated, I think we disagreed.
Oh, that makes
it was
it
very
all the more
satisfying
sweeter.
for you. This is entirely true, but as it was followed with Andy's take. So she's saying I wasn't wrong. It's entirely true. It's entirely true what I said. But as it was followed with Andy's take that I feel left out, my jaw dropped. Feeling left out has been a theme for me in friendship for as long as I can remember. In my childhood, I found myself on the outside, always wishing I was a priority to people I was drawn to. And it dawned on me how similar being an adult in a new friend group feels. For some context, I moved to Austin, which is not my city, but you were extremely close. In 2020. Remember, we kept thinking it was Austin.
Oh, yeah.
In 2020, and made my first friend at my retail job within a month. She and I quickly became close, and I eventually joined her friend group that had been going strong since they met in college 4 years prior. This is the group that I was mostly referencing in my email. So by nature, I do get left out of years of memories and often have to be brought up to speed about people they know and things they've done together prior to meeting me. There have been ups and downs and learning curves with being the new girl, but I know that the love, respect, and gratitude I feel toward them is given back to me even if the photos aren't. The second time my jaw dropped to the floor is when Andy used the word popular. Is this all very satisfying, Andy?
No, I'm just enjoying her growth.
Your pants are still on, I see. In elementary school, that word was the entire motivation for how I tried to look and act. All I wanted was to be the it girl, but it just never was. Now that I'm an adult, I realize that the feeling never goes away. It just remolds itself. I have amazing friends and live a great life, but society will always have the upper hand of making me feel like none of it is enough. And that's where I really did some soul searching. This year, I'm resolving to feel gratitude toward the small things, and rather than desperately beg for photos of everything I do, instead write about it and actually reflect on the things that matter. Was the best part of the night when my arm was around my friend and we were laughing as the flash of the camera burned our eyes, or was it when we stood in the corner and ignored everyone else while we had a heart-to-heart about how much we care about each other?
I got chills.
Yeah. I really relate to her.
This is great.
I feel like I could have written this email.
Yeah.
Was the best part of the day pulling over on the side of the road to pause my music and take a photo of the sunset overhead? Or was it driving along and seeing the colors change while my favorite song played loud? All this to say, I hope many photos are taken this year, but I'm hopeful that they'll just be a bonus on top of already special memories. I want you two to know how sacred your podcast is to me and so many others. You've been a huge part of my last 4 years. You've given me hope of finding someone special, words I'd never heard of before and now use daily, expanded perspectives of friendship and the urge to turn anything into a song, and cringe reality TV recap laughter. I wanted to send my condolences for the loss of Andy's mom. I was with my own mom, who never listens to podcasts but follows you on Instagram simply because I like your show and she supports me. When I saw your post and we sat together reading it and tearing up. It was so beautiful, and it is a tribute that will stick with me for a very long time. I lost my dad when I was 11, and I've learned that the pain doesn't go away, but you learn to grow into it. Hold on to the memories, keep her stories alive, look for signs, and tell people about her. As I used to write in yearbooks in the 5th grade, you rock, never change, love, KB.
Oh.
You know what I love? I feel like every update episode we've had, there's been the perfect closing update.
Yeah.
Like, how perfect was that?
That was really it. Wow.
That was it.
So much in there.
Yeah. And it was so sweet that she mentioned the part about your mom. But also, Andy, you were so right that her jaw was on the floor, not once, but twice.
I don't know what's more touching. Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I will say the last conversation I had with my mom, she was telling me how nice all the comments were on the year in review episode.
Oh.
It was the last conversation we had before I was going to go pick her up for her birthday.
Oh. How nice to have a community where people write nice comments that can then be discussed between the host and his mother.
Yeah. It really did brighten up her last few years.
Yeah. No, it's actually for real. I mean, your mom started watching The Bachelor because of Dear Shandy.
I mean,
And
I don't
she
know
would-
if that brightened her up, but it definitely...
No, but like gave her something to like follow along with and be involved in.
And to complain about.
And to
me.
complain about, which everyone
She
loves
would
doing.
always tell me, oh, this show is so stupid. Why did this girl do that? They always do the same thing.
Yeah, let's be honest. She liked it.
She liked it. I was like, Mom, why do you keep watching it?
Yeah. And I think she followed along the comments, and she was just sort of a part of something that she wouldn't have been a part of otherwise. And so I guess this is a big group hug.
Yeah.
And KB, thank you for such a lovely update, even if you found Andy more right than me. I think it's possible that I saw too much of myself in her.
You were misguided by your own personal pain.
Okay. Okay.
But I will say that this question, I think, is a more universal thing to think about.
Absolutely.
The part where she's talking about
Being present.
being present, but not looking for that moment where the flash is burning her eyes, as she so eloquently put it.
Yeah.
But the moment where they're in the corner,
Yes.
having time, real time together.
Talking about how much they love each other.
Yeah. Let's make that the norm.
Yes.
Let's make that the thing we strive for, not the flash.
Yeah, not pulling over the side of the road, turning off the music to take a photo of the sunset,
Yeah.
but rather just admiring the sunset
Be
while
there.
the music plays loud.
Just be there.
That's
be in it.
You know what? That's the perfect message for 2025.
Agreed.
I love that.
Be in the moment.
Yes, be in the moment.
Don't worry about what people are looking at or what people are taking pictures of. Just
Yeah.
be there. Live it.
Yeah, and not to suggest that this should be the goal, but I do think that person ends up being kind of popular.
I agree.
Which is, let's be honest, the goal. I kid. Okay, that is a wrap for our 5th ever Updates episode.
Wow.
And Shandies, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify,
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us for another year of Dear Shandy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Ah. 15.
I wasn't sure if you were forgetting out of practice. Oh, Ruby. Ruby, come to mommy. Ruby,
Okay, go ahead.
come to mommy. Come to mommy. Why are you two bonding so much?
She knows I need it more.
Oh, now I feel bad. Ruby.
Okay, go to mommy.
I will say it's unbelievable her instincts, like how she's comforted you over the last few weeks. Like she knows. She knows that you need it.
Yeah. She's great.
She is great. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.